Yo, what it do? Hey, we know you just saw that fresh new intro. Wasn't that shit sick? Well, we couldn't agree more, guys.
Right, we just collaborated with our boy Omar at Sun City Vibes to help create an intro that would take our podcast to the next level. Do you need help with your video editing and content creation to help elevate your business to the next level? Well, Sun City Vibes has you covered without a doubt.
Yeah, that's right, guys. Whether it's a logo reveal, a music video, drone footage, or even t-shirt printing, guys, hit up Sun City Vibes for quality work and affordable price. Shit, Omar even made us a sick-ass hat. Look at this.
It's a fresh-ass hat.
Fresh.
Shit's fresh.
Fresh.
So yeah, guys, go help support those that support us and hit up our boy Omar and tell him Chris and Misa sent you from the podcast and help support a local El Paso business today. Let's go. Yeah.
3, 2, 1. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Conversing with Chris and Misa, the podcast. As always, guys, co-host of the podcast, Mr. Misael is with us today.
Thank you, guys. What it do?
In the producer chair, our boy Joe is back. Say what's up to the podcast, Joe.
What is up, everybody?
Joe.
And guys, for episode 137, we have a very, very special guest on the podcast today. She's a former longtime anchor here in the city of El Paso, member of the El Paso Women's Hall of Fame. Her name is Estela Casas. Say what's up to the podcast, Estela.
Hey, thank you so much for inviting me. Hi, everyone.
Welcome, Estela.
Thank you.
It's
Nice
a pleasure having you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you. Nice meeting
This is
all
really
of you,
awesome having you in here. For a lot of people that are born and raised in El Paso, you've been a staple in the media, staple in the community for many years now. So thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us. Give her another round of applause, Misa.
Triple horns for that, dude.
So, Mrs. Stella, tell us a little bit about what you got going on right now, how you are how you're getting by nowadays. Obviously, you had your history in media and working with UMC. What do you got going on now?
So I am the creative brand strategist for the Viva Auto Group. We have 17 dealerships in El Paso, Las Cruces, Albuquerque, and Santa Fe. And I don't sell cars.
Right.
I sell image. So I'm in charge of the marketing and advertising department. There are several directors in that area, but what we do is produce commercials in English, Spanish, write, produce, direct, and control the image that's going out. We also do the hard sell incentives coming up every month, and just we do a lot of community events as well, because the Viva Auto Group sells with purpose. It's not just about selling cars. It's about selling lifestyle. It's about selling image. It's about, because many times the car not defines, but maybe says a part of who you are, right? What we drive kind of defines who we are. If you have a sports car, you drive fast. If you have a family car, well, you probably have somebody who plays in the soccer team. So it kind of defines who you are.
Right.
I'll buy it. What do you? I'll take it.
Buy whatever car you sell.
I'll buy it.
It's funny that it's funny that the timing of this, because I bought a vehicle from Viva Chevrolet. I bought a 2022 Malibu, Chevy Malibu.
Thank you.
And it was and I noticed your plates when you drove up today. You had the pink plates, the same that are in my car. And I had a great time at the dealership. I'm happy with the vehicle. Everything worked out. And then to have you in here, like doing the podcast with us, it kind of just like comes all like together in a way, you know what I mean?
So let me tell you how that all comes together. When I was diagnosed with bilateral breast cancer in 2017, we started a campaign with Viva, the Stand with Estela fund through the El Paso Community Foundation. Since then, I have a foundation called the Stand with Estela Casas Cancer Foundation. And we raise money to give away free mammograms and to provide wigs. And what my foundation does is raise money and gives money to different organizations so they can vet the people who need the wigs, who need the compression sleeves, who need the help. So through that, it's been almost 5 years since we started that program. And it's a great support system because women and families, because nobody fights alone, women need to know that they're not alone and they have that support. And so Viva Auto Group has also helped me raise money along with Albertsons and a lot of different organizations who have given so I can give back.
Right.
Through that journey that I had to be on, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer in 2010 and I had a blog for that. But bilateral breast cancer was just something that really affects the community. Just this week, somebody came into my office and said that their 22-year-old daughter of a friend was diagnosed with breast cancer. So, it affects everyone, 1 in 8 women and 1 in 1,000 men. So in that journey as well, I've written a book. It's called The Place to Anchor. And it chronicles my journey and how the community came together, how love of friends, strangers, lifted me through this journey. So that's what I'm doing now. So I do a lot of things. We have a 5K at Ascarate Park coming up on October 1st. And I have a women's conference, a women's luncheon coming up on October 28th. So I'm very busy, and that's just a little side thing that I do along with my full-time job.
Right. Wow. Yeah. I mean, obviously you have a lot on your plate, and you've been very active in the community. And actually in 2011, you were also inducted into the El Paso Women's Hall of Fame. Tell us a little bit about that. How did that make you feel being a native El Paso?
Well, when anybody gives you an award or a recognition, it's really a challenge. It's a challenge to do better and be better. I've always believed that I represent myself. I represent my family. I represent my job, wherever I'm working, and I represent my community. Because I remember looking back, were there any Hispanics on TV doing news when I started? No. So there was nobody that I could identify with, really.
Right.
You admire the Barbara Walters and all those great journalists along the way, but I don't look like them. And so I didn't set out to do this. It just kind of happens, but it's a responsibility. It's a great feeling that somebody will recognize you for something that you've done, something that's maybe just a part of who you are and what you do. I'm very grateful to that, but it is a challenge, and it is a responsibility. The more you are given, the more is expected from you.
Right, and that's what I was going to say. It raises the bar of expectations for you, because now you're just not, a media member, a journalist that is popular and known in the city. Now you're actually part of the Hall of Fame, so it's like you're now in that elite group of people that can be recognized for all the work that they do. So take us back to when you got into media. Graduating from UTEP, but going to ASU. How was all that? Why did journalism attract you as a career?
So when I was in high school, when I started singing when I was in the 6th grade. And I wanted to be a singer. That's what my goal was, to be a singer.
Who was like your favorite?
Well, my favorites were Barbra Streisand and now Adele, and so that realm and that genre of music that I like to sing in English and Spanish. So I wanted to be a singer. All my life I wanted to be a singer. I was a president of the choir, so that should tell you something.
The choir.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool.
The choir girl, very shy. Really, really shy. I was just kept to myself very much. And I got a voice performance scholarship to Arizona State. And I went off for a semester and realized that I wasn't cut out for that. You need much more than just a pretty voice to be a singer. You have to be a performer. You have to, I was offered a 5-year singing contract in Mexico City. I said, no gracias.
Whoa.
No gracias.
That's crazy.
I had to give up a lot of stuff, and I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't probably mature enough to do that. So I came home and shifted gears and started doing TV production. And then all of a sudden, since I was given an opportunity to sing in Mexico City and record some songs on TV and Hoy Mismo and all that stuff, I got to be in front of the camera, and all of a sudden I found myself in front of a camera. After a 3-hour interview at Channel 9, I was hired as a part-time reporter, and then a year later, I was going to UTEP too. And a year later, Channel 26 opened up in Espanol, and I was offered a job there, and I went over there as one of the founding journalists at Channel 26 in Espanol. I was there for for 1 year, and then I went to Channel 4 for 8 years. And I retired from Channel 7 after 27 years.
Right. And you were actually part of like the longest running
anchor team with Gary Warner.
Right, with Gary Warner. Yeah, it's crazy.
Way back.
And it's nuts because we were looking at those videos on YouTube, Joe. Just pull one up and share it, just because being able to see just how the landscape, the culture, the way people dress, the way media looks, everything is so different now. And this is in 1991. This is crazy. And this was actually is with KDBC4, right? So that was like one of your first jobs here in El Paso?
Well, no, it was Channel 9 and then Channel 26 in Espanol and then Channel 4.
Okay.
Yes. So that was look at that hair.
my mom had that hair too. My mom had the hair.
Play that other one where it shows the football game.
Yeah, dude.
Oh
the next
my
one,
gosh.
that one.
Let's see. Now KTSM.
This is 89.
So this is 89. So this is before that.
Sheesh.
Yeah, dude, Joe.
Everybody had that hair.
How many ants do we have that look like that, Joe? That look like that. All of them. Dude.
Well, let's hope they still don't look like that. Okay, we have evolved. We have evolved.
Was that one there?
So that's David Garcia. He passed away sometime this year, or I think last year. So a lot of people have come and gone. And I was on TV for 37 years, so that's a long time. I started when I was 2. I don't think I worked with her, so I don't recognize her. But that was a hair. I was wearing big hair from Texas.
That's a video, I think. Definitely a Texas thing. Yeah, that's the wrong one. The other one was like 3.
Yeah, that is the wrong one. I did work at Channel 9, but I just worked really part time there. It took me 25 years to earn my degree from UTEP because I kept moving up.
Right.
And I couldn't. I would take a class here and a class there, and so I just couldn't finish. But I finished for my kids as an example to my kids.
That's good.
Yeah, because it's hard when you got a full-time job. Like you can't commit fully to school because obviously, like especially if you have to like that job for monetary reasons, you need that income.
Chris is going like on his 15th year.
Yeah, I've been going to UTEP since 2009.
He's trying to get his GED.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And I'm almost
as long
done.
as you finish. As long as you finish, right? You're not probably going to make more money because you have that degree, but that degree does open a lot of doors.
Right.
And especially now.
Right.
Everybody needs it now. Before you just needed a high school diploma. Now you need not only just a degree, but you need a master's or a doctorate. Right. So times have changed.
Exactly. And so what do you miss about being in media? Is there anything that like you look back on and you're like, well, I miss being on the evening newscast, or is there like your coworkers that you miss? Is there anything in particular?
No, not really. I think for a while I did miss it when we went into COVID, because I'm a people person. I like to be with people, surrounded by people and having conversations. And we just didn't do that. And so that was very difficult for me. I really don't miss the hours because I would get up at 7, drop off the kids, go to exercise. Sometimes I would go and read to kids or do a spelling bee and then go into work and then come home for dinner or cook in the mornings for dinner, and then I'd come home at 6:30 and leave at 9 and come back at 11. So
I'm already stressed.
Thing,
It made for a very long day from 7 to 1 o'clock in the morning because I would get home at 11 and I was all wired. I wasn't ready to go to sleep.
You have to wind down.
You wind down. So it was a very long day, and now I've done it 3 or 4 or 5, and I go, it's like, so what am I going to do now? so it's not that I'm bored.
Right.
I'm not bored, but I'm just so used to doing something that I got to keep my mind active. So now I'm going to like a Zumba class, and then I finish my book, and so I'm always doing something because I'm afraid to slow down.
Right. And when you decided to leave, when you decided like you were done with media, you're like, I've had a good run. I've accomplished a lot. The whole city pretty much knows who I am. What decision or what goes into that decision to step away and say, let me start something new. Let me turn the page on this chapter of my life.
I just thought it was the right thing to do. When I helped raise money for the fund and now the foundation, I just thought it was the right thing to do, going to UMC Foundation and El Paso Children's Hospital Foundation. I just thought it was what I was supposed to do. I didn't go off, and I was the executive director of those 4 organizations. And so it was the right and appropriate job to go to, not just a simple little job. It was a big job. And I stepped away because for many reasons, but one of the reasons also is that I didn't want to get sick again on TV. People saw me with wigs and with my fake eyelashes and my fake eyebrows and with glassy eyes and just, I just didn't want to do that again. And the long hours were tough too. I miss my coworkers, but that's about it.
And
I have a great life.
Yeah, and then your
now.
story is real personal because you were always like very open to what you were going through and how you were dealing with these problems and how you're meeting them heads on. And like, I think there's even a YouTube video of you getting like a mammogram. Long time ago. And you were like filming it and putting it out so that I think it was showing people that like
giving out awareness.
Well, awareness, but showing
if I could do it, you could do it too.
Personalizing it almost and saying, hey, if Estela can do it, maybe I'm not going through the same thing she is, but somebody else I know or a cousin, a teacher, somebody that I know is, and it gives them faith and hope and being able to see someone that they can relate to, especially someone that was in your role and your capacity. It makes them feel a little bit better. And it's interesting because I never thought about, how you would feel going through all those transitions and then people reacting to that and all that stuff. So it's very interesting because I think a lot of people overlook how your emotions, the way things make you feel, you know what I mean? And so, it's crazy, but I think it's very good that you're so, like I said, open about it.
Well, I think it's important. So what you saw on TV is what you got.
Right.
And it's important because sometimes some people have a different persona on TV that they do in person, right? Because it's a job or whatever you want to call it. But, it's like what you see is what you get, because I didn't want people to say, well, gosh, you're not the same person that you're on TV. And I just feel that if you're somewhere, you are not just here to take up space. You are here to make a difference and leave your mark, not only with your family, because that's your legacy, right? Your legacy is your family. And I'm working very hard to leave a legacy with them and leave them enough money so they have to work. But also, just leave a mark. And if I had the platform, so that is where the doctor was filling my breast with saline solution. And that's when I took off my wig. And so women need to know that there's help out there. Women need to know that you have to be strong and that you have a support system. All you have to do is say yes and open up and ask for help. So, gosh, I hadn't seen those videos in a long time. So we give away those garment little garments for after a mastectomy. So, a woman goes through a lot, and not just the woman, because somebody's taking care of her. She's got a team of doctors, but the family goes through a lot too.
Right.
My son was 13. My daughter was out of town, just got a new job. My son was in college. So, it affects everyone.
Yeah. And how do you think, if you had, I guess, any, maybe not advice, but any, words of encouragement to anybody that might be diagnosed with breast cancer or thyroid cancer, what is, the biggest piece of advice that you feel they could use or that they can take from your story? I
think that, women always have to be so strong all the time for the family, for the job, for everything, because we do have to work harder than men. It's still a man's world. It is still a man's world. But I feel that the biggest thing that I went through that really was life-changing for me is the ability and the courage to be vulnerable.
Right. To do what you did on TV. Exactly.
Right, definitely.
Yeah.
Just like you, and not only are you speaking, saying, hey, be vulnerable. You actually went out and did it on on live news, in front of everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And, now that I look at that wig, and it's that was a $30 wig that I loved.
I thought it was a real hair. It looks good.
No, I wore wigs for 8 months. That's also a different wig. Wow. And, I was bald. I was completely bald. And sometimes when I'd see myself in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself.
I was reading the type of breast cancer that you had is extremely uncommon, right? Compared to the rest of the types of breast cancer.
Well, it's 2%.
Right.
2% of women. So 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer in their lifetime. There's several types of breast cancer, because I asked women, so what kind of breast cancer do you have? Well, breast cancer. It's well, what kind? They don't know.
There's types, right?
They don't know.
My grandma had it. She got chemo and she survived it.
Yeah.
Came back twice. She survived it. God's good.
God is great. God is great. So women need to find out what kind of breast cancer you have, so you can understand the chemotherapy that you're going to get, or if you're just going to get radiation, or if you can get implants, or you can get different surgeries. So it's important for women to find out what kind of cancer they have, because I used to tell my doctor, he just came out, Dr. Valilis, he just recently retired. I said, I think sometimes that my platform, that I had the ability to tell my story on TV, I'm giving false hope to a lot of women, because not everybody has the outcome that I had.
Right.
And he said, no, don't worry about it, Estela, because you're an example. Keep doing what you do, because some women never get it back. Some women, they never get the cancer back, and they die of heart disease or whatever. Some women are like you, and it comes back in a few months or whatever, or some women die in the process. So just keep doing what you do, because it's important to tell your story to other women.
Yeah, and I think you make much more of an impact actually telling your story. You know what I mean? Definitely you're affecting more people that way. One thing I wanted to ask you, and I don't know if you remember this, there was a news segment that you guys would do back in the day. It was called Estela Escuelas. I don't know if you remember this.
Yes, of course.
Old
Estela
school,
Escuelas.
This is old school. So I actually think my class was on your show on that segment. This was at Lindbergh before it was Mitzi Bond. And I remember because you guys, the news crew came in and like our class was on TV. It was a big deal. Like you were there. And I called my mom yesterday because I told her we were doing this interview. And I said, Mom, correct me if I'm wrong, but was there an Estela Escuela segment?
Yes, of course.
And then she was like, yeah. She's like, you guys were on that, like you, not my brother and sister, but my class was featured in it. That's something I'll always remember. Like talk
Chris
to us.
Chris didn't go to school that day.
No, I was there, dude.
He wasn't there.
He wasn't there.
I was there.
So Estela's Escuelas was developed by a consulting company from Dallas.
Okay.
We didn't come up with Estela's Escuelas, but when my boss said, "Hey, we're going to do Estela's Escuelas," and I said, "And you're going to do some board meetings and some controversial topics concerning the school districts," and I said, "No, we do enough of that.
Yeah.
We do enough of that." So it was specifically for positive things happening in schools with teachers and with students,
Right.
and so everybody loved it.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Do you have any a top memorable moment like during the news, like a blooper or something like that?
Oh, man,
you'll
there
never
were so
forget?
many. There were so many along the way. But my biggest, I guess, success was when I got a call from the White House to go talk to President Barack Obama, sitting President Barack Obama. So I was the only journalist in El Paso who got that call.
Nice.
And they flew us up there, and I had an interview for 5 minutes and had to do the live from outside, the White House, and that was pretty cool. So that was my biggest, I guess, success. But really, what was closer to my heart is the ability to tell people stories,
Right.
their stories, for them to open up and talk about what it was like to lose a child, what it was like to lose a breast because of breast cancer, just different topics. And I love doing those stories. I always push for people's stories in the newsroom as well. So I just have a lot of memories. I think somebody asked me the other day about a story that I did when I was at Channel 4 on Wednesday's Child. I also had a segment called Wednesday's Child, and that was features on hard to adopt children. And the very first child that I featured on that, her name is Krista, and I don't know where she is, but she was skating on the sidewalk, and we sat down on the sidewalk, and I asked her, what do you want? She says, I'm a good girl. All I want is a family. Right. So there's a lot of different stories that I've come across, a lot of people who've opened up through the years that shake you to your core and remind you how lucky you are.
Right. And so speaking about like storytelling and getting to know people and getting to talk to them. I mean, you sat down with Barack Obama. That's like one of the most amazing things that I would love to do because I think he's just a good speaker. Like he's just somebody that is very intellectual. And if you're around people like that, he
was a president.
And he was the president.
president.
First black president. Like that's a huge momentum or a momentous moment in history. And then to be able to sit down, even though it's 5 minutes, 5 minutes, not a lot of time, but it's still impactful. And like, what did you think about that? Like, what did you think about that meeting with him?
Oh my gosh, I remember trying to prepare for it. Of course, I prepared, beforehand.
I've been so nervous.
It's like
Did you
got
sleep?
5
Did you
minutes.
sleep the night before?
Probably not. Probably not. And I had some questions ready, and I remember walking in there, but before he walked in, they made me stand on a stool because he's so tall and I'm short. Right. They made me stand on the stool, and they turned all the lights on, and they said, "Okay, were you ready?" And okay, you get to go back. We'll measure you again. And so I walked in, and he was already there, and I got to step on the stool and just talk for 5 minutes. And it was those 5 minutes went by really fast.
Right.
And then we finished. It was on the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is really was like NAFTA on steroids.
NAFTA.
On steroids, and that fell through. They interviewed me because Beto O'Rourke was on the fence, and so he probably wanted his support, and so I thought, okay, the people of El Paso will listen to this and get behind this. So we get done, and the lights turn on, and would you like to take a picture? Yes, I would. And so we face the camera, and I grab him.
Like this?
Yeah.
You had all the Secret Service all over you, huh?
No, but like a good Mexican woman.
Yeah, you're like,
the tradition is like, okay.
Yeah, right,
and I hugged him, and they kind of went, "Ay, esta mexicana." but I wanted to represent, and I said at the end of my interview, I said, "Muchas gracias." So I think he probably appreciated that, and it was certainly a magical moment for me.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's
man.
great.
Give it a round of applause.
Muchas gracias. He was like,
Chicotan, I want 5.
he's like, de nada.
Give her a round of applause.
Yeah,
for
that's
that.
awesome. That's great.
Yeah, Barack just hits her with the denada, all nice and chill. Like,
Hey, imagine he's like, yo, you heard about Chicos? She's like, girl.
Okay, so let's.
Try to replace me, but bitch, I'm one of a kind. You know, I be speed racing up on the highway 95. Look, I don't give a fuck why these niggas hating on me. Oh, wait, because I got your bitch tripping on me. She said my love promethazine got her leaning on me. Spanish mommy with that accent, bet she call me Poppy. Okay, yeah, she be hitting my phone.
Let's talk really fast. You said we only have about 35 minutes, so we're coming up on 23 minutes. Really fast, tell us about your Viva Style podcast. You've had Johnny Cage on. You had Crystal Poppin. My wife is a huge Crystal Poppin fan. We've been trying to get her on this podcast. We will one day. But how did that podcast start and how's it going?
So we have different topics, and everything. I try to bring everything back to the automotive industry, right? Because it's a Viva Style podcast, and always it does go back. Because we're all affected. We all need transportation to go to work or to school or to the soccer game or to whatever. And so we have a team who says, hey, well, I have so-and-so. Do you want them in? I said, yes, of course. So my goal is to, like this last one with Leslie Goncharoff, she is, I think we misspelled the name. She has horses and hens, and she brings me eggs. And today, as a matter of fact, I had a green egg.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so everybody is tied somewhere and somehow, and they all have stories. Everybody has a story. This 45 years of Viva El Paso, we talked about that, and we gave away free tickets. We also talk about the Mighty Mujer. We're going to have an interview also coming up with somebody who's doing the Eagle in the Sun triathlon. On the 20th of this month, remembering August 3rd, we went to shoot some promos at the Healing Garden at Ascarate Park, and this lady was there. And I asked her, can I ask you some questions? So we got to talk to her. We got to talk to Johnny Cage. You just saw that. And so it's just a lot of interesting topics because everybody has a story to tell, right?
Right. And
is everybody's
do you guys focus do you get kind of focus on El Paso in a way, like making it like the people of El Paso telling their story?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So I know we did talk to Quentin. Oh my gosh, no.
Quentin Demps.
Quentin Demps, and I think he's out of town, but he was raising money and goodies to fill up backpacks.
Right.
So that was kind of cool to do that Zoom meeting.
Yeah,
I had never done that in our podcast, so it's kind of fun. And I know I'll talk to anybody really.
Right.
Quentin Demps is cool.
Is that the soccer player, right?
No.
Quentin Demps is a football player.
Football player.
He was on our pod. Yeah.
We had him on the podcast too, and he told us the story about when he got called for the NFL draft. And he was asleep, and his mom had to go and wake him up. And he's such a cool guy. And we talked to him through Zoom, and he's got a great story. And he really embraces El Paso. He has this foundation here, so it's really cool to see those people. He's not from El Paso; he's from San Antonio.
He is.
And he comes over here and he makes a life for himself. And then now he's in Chicago, but he still puts roots down here. And it's cool because people there's a lot of people that do that in El Paso.
So the best thing that he told me, and that was really touching, is he said, I came here a boy, and I left a man.
Right.
From UTEP, and that was pretty cool.
Right.
When something and a city and a school and the people here can make a difference in someone's life. That's a lot.
It transformed his life.
But did he buy a car though?
Yeah, sure he did from Viva. I bet you he did. He bought from Viva.
Hey, I just want to make it clear. I know Chris just bought a car from Viva. That doesn't mean that every time you buy a car, Estela Casas is going to show up to your house and just say thank you.
Well, maybe.
Right?
You never know. You never know. There's going to be a raffle coming soon.
But yeah, well, you were saying how a city, a school, a city, a culture, everything can literally change somebody's life because he went on and played multiple years in the NFL, made a good amount of money for himself, and now has a very good, prosperous post NFL career, which is not always the case. But so let's do this, Estela. Before we wrap this up, we're coming up on 28 minutes. We do have some 5 random questions for you.
Oh gosh,
so
let's see if I can answer them.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. So does anybody know what time it is? Does anybody got the time?
You have a time?
Anybody with the time?
12:37.
12?
12, yeah, I think.
Well, that's pretty close, but actually, it's time for the 5 random questions here at Conversing with Chris and Misa, the podcast, hosted by your boy Chris Marquez. Sheesh.
All right,
She was close.
Yeah, she was close. She almost got the time.
Almost had it.
Almost.
She was right there.
Yes.
But, okay, guys. So we have Miss Estela Casas in the building once again. Thanks for being here. And like we always do with our guest guys, we like to, get them on the hot seat, ask them some 5 random questions.
That I don't have to answer.
No, if you don't have to answer if it's too crazy, but they're random. They're nothing crazy. No controversial topics, anything like that. So question number 1. Let me get some music here, Misa. Mrs. Estela Casas, what is your favorite holiday and why is that holiday your favorite?
Christmas, because I get to give gifts to my kids and the people that I love.
Okay. That was good. That was like that.
Oh, man, dude. No, I feel like a piece of shit.
And, yes, and there's always a message behind that, right? It was when Jesus was born.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
No, not really.
No? I love Home Alone.
A
The
Christmas
original
song?
Home Alone.
That's
The
always
Grinch.
fun. That's always fun. But no, we have favorite Christmas songs that
There
we
you
like to
go.
sing. So yes.
Okay, what's your favorite Christmas song to carol?
We wish you a Merry Christmas,
Oh,
right?
Hey, that's a good one.
But
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Yes, that's a good one. Okay, question number 2. Mrs. Stella, with all the crazy things happening in the world, what do you envision the future like in about 50 years?
Oh, in 50 years, so my kids will be all grown up as well. I wish for them and for everyone to have a happy life and with children, because I think children are the ones who carry on who we are. Not everybody has to have children, but not everybody does. But I think that's one of our biggest accomplishments in life. And I want them to be successful. And I see, it has changed so much. I think COVID pushed us into a new era of technology, and we went in faster than probably we were ready for.
Right.
So I see that continuing.
We gonna have flying cars by chance? What do you think?
Do you think that your old hairdo will make a comeback?
Probably.
It's always in style.
Yeah, it's always
In Texas.
In Texas, you're right.
Dude, the
She's right.
90s style and culture will come back one day. Everybody will start dressing like that
They already
again.
do.
They already do.
They already do.
Yeah.
We're old.
Okay. No.
Question
Maybe you
number
never
3.
know.
Let's get some more music here. Mrs. Stella, out of all the events that have ever occurred in history, which one do you wish you could have been there to report on?
Ooh.
World events. So I was there to report. I was there to report the August 3rd shooting.
Right.
I was actually on the phone with a friend of mine who had called me and said, "Hey, Estela, I don't know about Andre. He hasn't called me, and I know that he was going to be at Walmart." Well, he was one of the victims.
Yeah,
And-
he's a good friend of mine,
Yeah.
and his brother Tito and
Yeah.
Jordan,
Yeah.
his
Yeah, we
wife,
know him.
friends from high school.
that was life changing for me. I don't know. Maybe. The Berlin Wall coming down. There's
a
just
big
so many
one.
world events. I remember also covering the not out there, but covering. I would have maybe liked to have been with the big earthquake in Mexico City. I reported on that.
That was a big one.
The Challenger explosion.
Right.
you know,
That was-
and
that was- we were
those are
little.
yeah.
I would have.
So-
I think I would have liked to be like at the end of World War II,
Yeah.
like being able to report like all
Like
the
the end of
end of
war?
it, but then all the crazy stuff that they found out that happened
Later.
later. Yeah, you know what I mean.
And I was on the air also 9/11.
Right.
Reporting it from here. So I've been very fortunate to be able to cover some of those very life-changing
Right.
and big events in history.
And that comes with the longevity. You know, if you're doing it for 27 years, things happen and,
Things
and
happen.
you're able,
Lots of things
and you're
happen.
there. Yeah. And you're there and you're the one reporting on it. Okay. So question number 4, Misa, a little bit more music, Miss Estela. This one, I don't know how this one is going to go, but do you have a favorite hidden gem of El Paso, like a place that like nobody really knows about, like a restaurant or like a place to get a drink that is like your favorite? But
She's not gonna tell you, Chris.
that's why
She
it's a
doesn't
hidden
want
gem,
you
Chris.
showing up.
No, but that just somewhere that like she thinks is like this is like a great place, like there's something great about El Paso that maybe not everybody would know about.
My house is a gem.
Chris is gonna be like, "Can I show up?"
Is there a reservation?
I make some delicious chile con crema that everybody loves. I'm famous for. I make some good pozole that people enjoy.
Red or
I
green, though? Red or green?
Green.
Ooh,
Green.
Fire.
And not pork. It has to
Chicken,
be
right?
carne deshebrada.
She knows what's up.
And so there's a lot of great places, and I like to support local. I like Garufa, that's local. We just went to Hueso last night, and that's part of the Corralito system, and it was very good. I heard that Casa Pantera is very good, and I haven't been, so I can't say yes or
Do you
no.
like Cafe Italia?
Cafe
Pizza?
Italia as well. I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't eat pizza, but I'll eat the crust.
If the crust is good,
That's right. The crust is good, and a nice glass of red wine. But I think I'd like to give everybody a chance. I like. Gosh, what is that place called that has the seafood place? Villa del Mar.
Villa del Mar.
And
You like Little Shack?
Little
Little
Shack.
Shack.
Love Little
Dude,
Shack.
I love Little
Shout out
Shack.
Little Shack.
Love Little Shack.
Their
The
orange
ají
salsa?
Tuna.
Yes.
The ají tuna tostadas are my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
So I just like to support local.
like you said. Okay, that's good.
1700 downtown, Café Central,
Even Café Central,
Anson
Anson
11.
11's.
Ambar.
Ambar.
I've never been
Yes.
there. I've heard of it. And then the one that I went to, Park Tavern, was really nice.
That's
too.
very nice too.
I'll take you there
The
after this,
scallops.
Chris.
Let's do it. I'm down.
Let's go.
So you got to support local.
Right. Yes, it is very important for sure.
You taking me too?
He's like,
I'm waiting for Joe to say
Nice
Misa. Yeah, I'll take it too.
okay, last question here. A little bit more music so we can wrap this up. And this one is from Joe. This is a question directly from Joe. Is Chico's Tacos rolled tacos or are they flautas?
I need the honest answer
I
here.
need the honest answer.
Well, the flautas in my book, in my name, my understanding of it
Right.
are dry. So those are tacos.
Right. Rolled tacos
Rolled
and,
tacos,
and
yeah.
chili sauce.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, there you go. Straight
There it
straight
is.
from
Just blew
Estela.
my mind right now.
He's speechless.
No, I'm
You
like,
didn't say a word.
She just
Flautas are
ended that
dry.
whole war right
Yeah.
there.
she ended it.
Flautas are dry, and you dip them in the guacamole or whatever.
Right.
But the rolled tacos are wet. And
Right.
they're,
Once you
yeah.
start introducing liquids, that's
That's all
they're
Are you
a fan
no
of
longer
Chico's?
flautas.
I refuse to answer.
She's like, no comment on that.
All right,
No,
guys.
everybody's a fan of Chico's.
Everybody
right?
likes
That's
Chico's.
Right.
What
Yeah,
about the
everybody likes
burgers?
Chico's.
I like the
yes.
burgers.
Chris.
Yes.
Okay.
I just like the
The only
burgers.
thing like what I was gonna ask, it's 50 years into the future. Is Chico's still not accepting debit cards? is that still something
No,
that's happening?
no.
Hey,
In
it's
50
cra-
years, they will.
What's crazy is that they have an ATM right there. They're like, get your money out and give me cash.
We don't want no chargebacks coming back. Okay. So guys, we're gonna go around the studio here, give our final thoughts on today's podcast. Let's start with Joe.
Mrs. Estela Casas, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to be with us. I admire what you do. My mom was like, who's your guest today? I was like, Mrs. Casas. She's like, what? I told my grandma, she's from Juarez, but she remembers seeing you on TV.
In español.
And thank you so much for being here with us.
You're welcome.
Guys, love you guys. Happy to be back.
Misa, final thoughts today.
Yes, Miss Casas, thank you so much. It's so great to finally meet you. I've seen you, and I think I've said hi to you somewhere at store or something. But it's nice to hear your story. I think you're such a strong person, and that's really someone to admire. Thank you so much, everybody listening, guys. Viva, go buy yourself a car. Just go do
At
it.
Viva, we have 17 dealerships. So
She might show up. She might show up. She might show
We
up.
can get you any brand you
She
want.
might show up, but also, guys, make sure you guys stay safe and stay fresh.
Mrs. Stella, final thoughts on today's podcast.
Gosh, on me. Well, thank you for the opportunity. I have a lot of things going on, and at the end of the day, it all benefits the community. People ask me, why do you do it? Again, well, I want to leave my mark, but I've because of the platform that I had and the stories that I told, I realize and I know all the deficiencies and all the things that are missing in El Paso. So if I can help fill that little gap, I'm going to do it. So thank you for allowing me to come and share this afternoon with you all, to tell my story and to have fun.
Yeah.
Round of applause. Well said. Well said. Mr. Stella, we do thank you for being here today. Thank you for answering when I messaged you on Instagram. It was very nice of you to get back to me so fast, and we were able to plan this, and thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. It's a big deal for us as a podcast to have you on. You're a local legend, member of the Women's Hall of Fame here in El Paso, so that's a big deal. Thank you for everybody who's listening, everybody who follows us and supports us, likes us on Instagram, subscribes to our YouTube channel. With all that being said, guys, we are out.
Bitch, I get you tapered like a new fresh haircut. Put it in ignition, now a nigga got his keys stuck. Zanny got amnesia, hoes down, G's up, bitch. Ooh, hit me back with